In this episode, I'm sharing with you a recording from a talk that I did for Bedros Keuilian and his mastermind. If you're not familiar with Bedros, he is the founder of Fit Body Bootcamp, as well as the owner and investor in many successful companies. And in this particular talk, it was to his higher level mastermind at a private dinner where people flew in from all over the world. And I was honored to be the main presenter. And this particular talk was on sales, specifically on how to not be the average sales guy so that you can close deals at a higher rate and at a higher price tag. Enjoy. My job is to talk about sales today, and the topic specifically, which I was super excited to see people walking around with shirts that said average is the enemy, because the topic is around how to not be the average salesperson. And everyone knows what I mean by the average salesperson because you smell them as soon as they walk into the room. You smell them as soon as they start talking. How many of you guys know a salesperson the second they open their mouth? Actually, before they even open their mouth, the way they come up to you, whatever it is, raise your hands if you know one when you see one. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with being a salesperson. But the problem is, when you come off that way, sometimes that prospect forgets why they're in the room. They're in the room for a reason. And some people just transition to not being sold as opposed to having their attention on the main purpose as to why they're there. And really, as a salesperson, your main job is to keep their attention at the problem at hand. And that's it. So the best way to do that is to take all the things that the average salesperson does and then throw them away and do the exact opposite. We're going to talk about that. Before I do, what you'll notice is I am a storyteller. And so there's different levels of leads. Hot lead. Raise your hands if you have a pretty decent idea as to what a hot lead is. Okay, Bryce, what's a hot lead? How would you describe it?
They're already pre-qualified, typically speaking. They already know, like, and trust you because of the marketing you put out.
Pre-qualified, already know, like, and trust you, and probably close to making a decision, if not already there. All right. What about a warm lead? Who thinks they know what a warm lead would qualify as? What would qualify as a warm lead? Anybody know? Yes, sir.
Somebody that's problem aware and maybe vaguely familiar with you.
Yeah.
Intimately.
I love that you know the levels of awareness. Yes, they're problem aware, have a good idea as to who you are, but they just kind of want to maybe identify some of the differences and just make sure you really are the solution. Well, who knows what a cold lead would qualify? Like what qualifies as a cold lead? Anybody know? Or best guess? Yes, sir.
Someone who has absolutely no idea why you're calling them at all. Don't know you, don't trust you. And you're just giving them the information right up front, just finding out who you are.
No idea who you are, no trust, walls up, hard to sell. Is there anything below cold lead? Yes. There's one that's really below it. And with that, I'm going to tell the story now. So this is the day that I gained a tremendous amount of respect for Bedros. He put my ass in my place. And so here's what had happened. I had gone and I saw an event. I'd started niching to gyms 8 years ago. So my ad agency at the time, right before that, we were marketing to whoever needed advertising, we would run ads for you. Doctors, lawyers, didn't matter. And then I started meeting with mentors and they told me the value of niching. And so we niched to gyms, and in a matter of 18 months, we 12x'd our business, which was excellent, right? And so in the middle of that, I went to an event, because I was going to all these different fitness events, and I saw Bedros speak up here in Gilbert. I was like, man, I like him. I like his style. And I like Fit Body Bootcamp. I already had a couple clients. And I told my team, I was like, hey, I want you guys to send an email out to as many Fit Body Bootcamps as you can and let them know that we're a marketing team that's been working with a lot of Fit Body Bootcamps, and we'd like to work with you as well. And the communication wasn't clear from my end. And my team sent out an email that said, we are the marketing team for Fit Body Bootcamp. Very different message. Well, Bedros got a hold of it, and as a good CEO is, he was very protective of his franchisees, saw it as bullshit, and called me and basically told me, hey, that's BS. I don't like that. That's not good business. And then I did the worst thing you could do. I didn't take accountability. I said, man, my director of marketing sent that out, and I apologize. And he goes, don't put it on your team. Own that shit. And he was fucking right. So at that moment, I was like, man, I feel terrible that this happened. Now, would you say that Bedros at this moment is below a cold lead? He is below a cold lead. Like, he's like, not only do I not I actually do know you, and I do not want you to go near me. That's basically what he said. I reached out to him, and he basically said, I don't have time for you. I understand why. I wouldn't have time for me either. So now how do I overcome this? So I can't be the average guy. And so I noticed that Bedros is a very philanthropic guy. I knew that. I saw that. I started understanding who he was. I said, Bedros, listen. And I sent him a message on, I think, Facebook Messenger. I said, listen, I know that we got off to the wrong foot here. I know you don't have time for me. But if you give me 5 minutes, I'll donate $1,000 to the charity of your choice. This way, if you don't get any value out of the meeting, at least some kids did. And he responded back, I like that. $1,000 to Shriners Hospital. Message me with the receipt or something like that once you get it, and then we'll talk. Donated $1,000, jumped on a call with me. That 5 minutes turned into about 15. We realized that there actually were a lot of similarities. Fast forward now, I'm speaking at his event. He spoke at my event. We've been on each other's podcasts. We've invested in the software as partners together. I love the way he did business. But the reason I share that with you is even something below a cold lead can be flipped. Can you guys agree to that now? So when you get cold leads, you're not even at the bottom. Don't say like, oh, these suck, these are all cold. Dude, that's better than what I've worked with. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
All right, so now let's get into some of the stuff. All right, now as you guys progress in your business, you're gonna go from different levels of sales. Now, some of you guys might still be selling to end users. For example, if you're a gym owner, you're selling people that walk into the gym to become gym members. That's an end user. If you guys are a marketing company, you're selling the company that needs marketing, and that would make them an end user. Now, over time, you stop selling end users, and you begin the process of selling maybe a franchise. Or you start selling somebody to become an investor or a partner or working on an acquisition, or selling people to do certain things that ordinarily probably wouldn't be thought of. Now, I'll give you a couple examples of this because this is the levels that you want to eventually climb to. There's no escaping it. If you're an entrepreneur, you will always be in sales. It just depends on what level of sales you're going to be doing, and you're constantly going to have to be doing bigger, better sales. At this level, his sales aren't end user. Bedros is forming partnerships. He's finding people to come to his events. He's finding ways to collaborate with people. And I've seen stuff you've done with like guys like Dan Fleshman and Billie Jean and all that. And so these are the things that guys like Bedros does, and you guys will be doing that as well. A couple examples of that so you know. I've got a mastermind, and it's for gyms. And, you know, I really didn't want to do a lot of the education, and I was the guy that was doing most of it. And although I found it fun, it stopped me from being able to work on the higher level activities. And so I said, man, how can I get somebody in here that if I stopped doing it, they would be happier that it wasn't me? And so I started researching who it could be and got this guy on my podcast. He's the former COO of Orange Theory Fitness, former COO of SoulCycle, former COO of Pure Barre. His name's Griff Long. Had him on my podcast, continued to nurture that relationship. But then finally I said, man, Griff, I don't know what it is, but your style of teaching is just, I feel like you're wasting something that you've got as a gift. And he goes, what do you mean by that? I go, how did you enjoy the podcast? How did you enjoy, I had him on as a guest at my mastermind. He goes, I fucking loved it. And I go, that's because you got a gift. People love playing with their gifts. You've got it. And you're not utilizing, you're managing teams, you're running meetings, and all that stuff's good. You've developed skills in it, but that's not your gift. Your gift is teaching. And he said, you think so? I go, I know so. And if it's okay with you, I'd love to ask you to continue giving that gift. I think my team here would love to learn from you, and I'd love to pay you for it. And he goes, I would have never thought of doing something like that, but I would love to. This guy came in, I told the mastermind who I've gotten, they've helped get more members because they're like, dude, you know who's teaching us now? This guy's come in, taken over so many of my calls, all these other things. It's to the point where he's doing the majority of the stuff. My team asks, how the hell did you get this guy? That's the type of sales that I'm focused on. It's not end user now, but damn, did that help me get a lot more sales and also retain people and get them to upgrade down the road. So start thinking about, it's not always about selling the end user. What are some bigger things that we can look at, that we can really nurture, that can make our product better, that can make our company more appealing and possibly improve the marketing, because product is the biggest part of marketing. Make the product better, man, that is marketing. You guys with me on that so far? Yep. All right. And then, like Bedros alluded to, I just sold half of my company to a company in Australia. That was an incredible sale. I don't want to take the time to explain it here, but if anybody wants to talk about it, that was probably one of my best deals that I've done. And then contacts. Started in a new industry where I'm investing in real estate, investing in land throughout the country. And I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just saw the margins in it. I go, this is ridiculous. And so I started reaching out to as many people as I possibly could. I 100% name dropped the people I'm connected with because I saw who they were following. And I now have people that are considered influencers coaching me for free just because they like the vision, what we're doing, and how I'm coming at this. As crazy as that sounds, that is sales. To me, that's sales. Okay. Now let's talk about avoiding being average and what is sales exactly. So I don't care if you're selling to an end user or if you're selling some of the stuff that I've talked about recently or anything in the middle. There's going to be something that we have to be constantly aware of, and you can build it into your sales process, and it's the 4 levels of certainty. Now, some people have heard of the 3 levels. Bryce, do you think you can get my water right by my wife's leg there? Sorry. I brought it for this purpose, and I left it. It's my fault.
You got it, brother.
Thank you, sir.
You got it.
I only called on you because you're the only one I really know by name at that table. All right. So you might have heard the Wolf of Wall Street talk about in his book. I think he talks about the 2 or 3 levels of certainty, but I believe there's 4. And so everybody's got to have a high level of certainty in these 4 areas. If you miss one, you're going to get, I need to think about it. And it's not that they don't need to think about it. Sometimes people say, I need to think about it. It's a smokescreen. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. And I'll explain that in a bit. But the 4 levels of certainty. Number 1, they have to have high level of certainty in this thing, whatever it is that you're doing. As an example, if I'm selling yoga, if I got a yoga studio and somebody comes in with a particular problem, I have to sell them on yoga being a solution to their problem. Not our place yet. They got to believe that yoga is what they need. So if it's a big bodybuilder and he's like, I need to add 20 pounds of muscle, that may be a tough sell, right? It may not even be the sell you want to make because technically it's a BS sell. That's not what he wants, unless you believe it is, right? But he needs to believe that yoga is the thing that he needs. Now, the next thing is he needs to believe that your company and the way you do that thing is the perfect way to do it. So yes, I love yoga, but man, the way this company does it, that is the best way to do it. And you can do that for marketing agency or whatever it is, wealth management, it doesn't matter. The third thing is they have to have a high level of certainty in the rep. Now, a lot of times the reps focus on being product knowledgeable. They know everything about the product, and man, do they love to prove it. And usually what I've noticed, I've managed up to 70 salespeople at once before, and I've managed hundreds over the years. And what I'll tell you is it's sad when you watch a salesperson come out of the gate hot and then all of a sudden cool off. Anybody ever notice that? Anybody ever get a sales guy that comes out hot and then just cools off? That's not abnormal. It's very normal. What happens is the person becomes so product knowledgeable, now their conversation begins to switch. In the beginning, they don't have much other than the person and the problem that they came with. And those are really the 2 areas that you need to be spending time on. So the person that's meeting with me, let's say I'm a physical therapist, I need to be able to understand their pain. So if they come to me and they say, yeah, I've had a ruptured patella tendon, I might say, I got it. How does it feel when you go down the stairs versus up the stairs? Oh, it hurts a lot more. It does, huh? And what about when you shower? You ever get nervous leaning on that one leg? Yeah, I totally do. Yeah, I know that. What about quick stops to the left, quick stops to the right? I can't even imagine doing that. Okay, so there's a lot of areas you still haven't fully captured yet. No, I get it. Totally get where you're at. Right now, just by asking those questions, does that person believe that, number 1, I understand their situation specifically? Yes? And also that I know how to solve it. Because I wouldn't ask those questions unless what? I knew how to solve it, right? So I gotta have high level of certainty that yes, this thing is the thing that I need, that the way this company does the thing is the way that I need it done. And this person truly understands me because that's why I should do it. He's making a recommendation. He knows me enough to know that this should be a solution. And the 4th level is the one that a lot of people leave on the table. And this is actually the one that is most important for a lot of industries. How many people believe that a lot of people, even the ones that seem confident, have a low self-esteem? You guys ever see that? You could tell because the bigger ego they have, the lower self-esteem they have, typically, how they show up to the table. Now, they have to have a high level of certainty in themselves. So if I'm selling a gym membership or if I'm selling an ad agency product or anything like that, I've got to get them convinced that they have the skills to be able to get this done. So if I sell marketing, for instance, and you're the guy at my table, I have to be able to convince you that you're this far away. This far, not this far, which a lot of salespeople do. Oh, you don't have this yet, you don't have this yet, you don't have this yet, you don't have, and they make the gap look so big. The problem can't be that big, because then you can't imagine that a guy like me can come in and fix it. It's got to be like this. In fact, the easiest way for me to sell supplements when I was in the gym space was not, oh, this supplement will help you do this to this. I go, tell you the truth, this supplement doesn't do much. It gets you like 1% more. You know what crazy thing is? When I switched it to just 1% more, people wanted it. The gap was more narrow. So what I would say to a guy like you is, I would say, what's your name?
Tony.
Tony, which by the way, I'd use your name quite a bit, but I'd say, Tony, listen, man, I meet with a lot of people. I haven't met with a lot of people that are as far along as you are in the thing that you do. And I'll create substance to it. You've already got a solid team, which by the way, your ability to build a team is supreme, by the way. I don't know if have people told you that already?
Yeah, thank you.
You've got the sales process down. I've learned stuff even just talking to you today. And I feel like your vision for the company is excellent. You're not far, Tony. You're like here. This is the easiest thing for me to work with. The truth is, a personal trainer working with a guy at LA Fitness that wants to be an MBA, a Hall of Famer, that trainer doesn't even want to work with this guy because he's just so far. His runway to success is almost unlikely. He wants LeBron. And the reason he wants LeBron is because he knows it's just a couple tweaks. An inch here, an inch there, a second here, a second there is the difference between him and Hall of Fame. You're that guy. You're not far. Your runway's like this. So I want to work with you personally. And so I don't know where this conversation is going for you or how it's feeling for you, but I really like the idea of us working together. How do you feel?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I want him to feel like right fucking there. How many of you guys can feel that? Like just right there, not here. Don't build the problem this big, right? But this tweak is this big of outcome, right? Just this little tweak. You're talking millions of dollars a year. We just did the math, right? Just that, you're that far. So this small of a problem, this big of an outcome. Not this big of a problem for this big of an outcome. Good with that?
Yes.
A lot of salespeople like to do the opposite. All right, so we got the 4 levels of certainty, right? The thing, the company, company, the sales rep, and then themselves. They got to have confidence in themselves. All right, the next thing, objections in their head. So they've already got 3 objections that are actually going to stop from making the sale. 3, and I don't care if it's small or big. And it's this, me, and now. Those are the 3, this, me, and now. So this is what it sounds like in their head, subconsciously. They're not even conscious that this is happening. The questions are, man, do I really need this? Other question is, should I shop around? I feel like I'm going quick. Like this is the first guy I met with. Should I meet with a couple others before I just make a rash decision? And then should I do this now or should I wait till like the beginning of the year once New Year's resolution or New Year's comes along, or maybe wait till after tax season or whatever? These are the 3 questions. So I like to ask those questions early on. So let me get another person so I can use a name. Your name, sir?
David.
David. Hey, David, I just want to talk to you a little bit more. Obviously, you could work with a company to do X anywhere, but why is this the thing that you feel you need? Like for your business specifically, why are we here? Why are you sitting with me? And now he'll say, well, he'll give me all the reasons of why this, right? Well, because of this, because of this, because of this. I wanted wealth management because I feel like I don't know where to invest my money. I've got this money laying around. I know my friends got wealth managers, and I just feel like this is an area that I'm weak. Excellent. Great. But why me? Like, you actually got all the way to the point where you're sitting down with me. Why did you get this far with me? What is it you saw in us? Well, I checked out your reviews, and I know this person said this, and that person said that. So that stuff's important. That's how you make decisions? Yeah. Awesome. Me too. And then why now? Like, why are you here now? Why not wait until New Year's or after taxes? Like, why September 12th? I just know that I need to get started, man. I can't wait on this. All the things that I would overcome, he's going to do it right now. These things will not be objections going forward. Me, and now. So you want to get those handled early on in the process. You won't even have to revert back to them. They literally won't come up. They never do. All right, next one. They must want this. Why else would they be here? So the average person in the US spends 44 hours per week on a screen doing non-work related activities. 44 hours a week, whether that's combination of Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Hulu, social media, YouTube, 44 hours per week. These are the people that say they need time off work. You got 44 hours of work right there, buddy. But 44 hours a week. Now, why do I say that? Because people really know how to keep themselves entertained. And they got friends they feel like they haven't hung out with. They got kids they feel they should spend more time with. They maybe want to be in better shape. They got the house that needs cleaning. I mean, there's a million things they'd probably rather do than talk to a sales guy about a product they don't have any interest in buying. Would you guys agree? Like, how many of you guys have at the top of your list, I don't have an interest in buying anything, but man, I really want to talk to a sales guy right now? Nobody. So here's the thing. Chances are one of the last things that they want to do is talk to a sales guy about something they don't want. That's probably one of the last things on their list, which means if they're here, they must want this. This is the last thing they do if they didn't. Agreed? When we have that in the back of our mind and we keep that top of mind, we don't start thinking stupid stuff like, I don't really think they're interested. I think they're a tire kicker. Dude, let them kick the tires. They want to see if it's good. Now you just got to prove to them that it is, right? They're here. They're this far. Okay. Next thing, affordability. Even if they can't afford it, they'll still buy it. Here's what I mean by that. So in the US, 2022 numbers, honestly, I should have got 2023 before I came here, but I know that they've gone up every year since then. Average American credit card debt is $7,331. More than 80% of that debt is made up on non-essential stuff. TVs, jet skis, stuff around the house that you don't need. Non-essentials. Now, if they're putting it on their credit card and they're carrying that debt, could we agree that they probably couldn't afford to buy it? But they did. Because they wanted that thing more than they wanted the money. That's what they had. They saw more value in having debt and owning this thing than not having debt and having that money. So when someone can't afford it, don't let that stop you. They're going to spend that money on likely dumber shit than what you're selling. Now, if you believe your product is good and it can add value to their life more than the damn TV they're going to spend 48 hours on, then go ahead and sell it. Even if the math says they can't afford it, if they want it bad enough, they'll put it on a card like they do everything else. Now, if you sell something that's worthless, ethically, maybe you pull back. But if you really can help them, if this can help them trigger some good habits, get them back on that path. If you get them around good people, we talked about that earlier, get them on. They can afford it, or at least they'll buy it if they can't. Next thing. Oh, this is a big one. Words matter. So one word that you haven't heard me say the entire time, you're going to hear me say it right now for the first time, or you won't hear me say it again no matter how fast I talk, you'll never hear me say it, is the word try. Now there's words in the family of try that are cousins, but try is one of the weakest words that you can have. It's not even allowed in my house. My kids don't say it. In fact, when they're reading, even if the word try is in there, they translate it in real time without slowing down their speech. If the sentence says, the fox tried to jump over the fence, they'll say, the fox went to jump over the fence. Marjan, isn't that true? My wife Marjan's right here. Now, I had a teacher once call me, say, Mr. Arce, you know that your daughter seems to think that the word try is a cuss word. And I said, yeah, I know. And she goes, well, I think I understand the logic behind it, but don't you think the word try is applicable sometimes? I said, man, with all due respect, I think all cuss words are applicable sometimes. Doesn't mean you use them. And so there's a weakness behind it. And as a salesperson, my job is to create certainty. That was the first thing we talked about. And certainty creates certainty. Lack of certainty creates lack of certainty. Here's an example of how that works. Bryce, you're the coach of a sport, let's say a basketball team. Now you've worked your ass off all season to take this team that was a sub 500 team last year, and you turn them to a team that made it to the championship game. This is it. The other team just scored. Now you're down by 1, and there's only 2 seconds left. You got time for 1 play. You call a timeout. Now we're in the huddle. Now you got 2 players that all season have been equal. In fact, if you look at their stat sheets and cover the names, you can't tell who's who. They're equal. You say, guys, Mike, Joe, what do you guys think? What should we do? We got 1 shot left at this. Joe says, Coach, give me the ball. I'm going to try to make this shot. And Mike says, Coach, give me the ball. I will make this shot. Raise your hand if Joe's getting the ball. Raise your hand if Mike's getting the ball. Off of one word, the stats are the same. And you know damn well the word doesn't mean anything. That doesn't change. Why off of 1 word are you going to easily, with full confidence, shift the ball over to Mike? The stats say that Joe has the equal chance of making the shot. His clutch shooting is equal. Words matter. So when you say the word try in a sales process, you don't know it, but subconsciously, just like to that coach, subconsciously you're killing your sale. Here's how it sounds. So, Chris, one of the things that we try to do here at Mike Arce Company is, so Joe, I really want you to try to come in 3 to 4 times a week. Joe, we try to make sure that every client versus, Joe, here's how our company works. No matter which client we work with, this is the outcome that we're running towards. And we have a process in how to get there. Joe, we need to see you at least 3 times a week. That's the minimum. If I can see you 4, it's a bonus. Joe, we're going to get you there in at least 6 months, but if we really want to turn up the throttle, I can get you there in 3. Do you hear a difference? Now, here's a funny thing. You guys have heard this before. You may not have known it because it's completely subconscious. The words, that's how that works. There's been times where you've walked home from a sales meeting and somebody might ask you, how did that meeting go? And you might have said something like, this company's on another level. Really, why? I don't know. You could just tell. It's like night and day from the other company. There's just night and day. But like what specifically? You could just tell. You can't even articulate why because the words were subconscious. But the words matter. Now, here's the funny thing. You've got to eliminate the word before you can use the word because you do want to use the word strategically when you're talking about your competition. Bryce, when you were working with that last company, what kind of stuff did they try with you? So you're working with ABC company right now, and what do they try to do each month? And when they try that, how does that work? And what do you guys try to do together each month? It just doesn't work? So here's what we do. Here's how this works for us. So you can apply the weakness to others, but you can't control it until you can eliminate it. So take it out of your house, take it out of your company. Nobody's allowed to use those words. Weak words, black, white, is the way we speak. Gray doesn't work. Gray creates lack of confidence, like the coach and the team. You guys with me so far? Yeah. Okay. By the way, you're going to sit down with salespeople now, and you're going to watch salespeople use that word try. It's going to sound like an assault rifle. I'm not kidding. It'd be like, we try to do this, we try to do that. And when we try to do, like, sometimes there's so much marjan, like you hear it all the time, right? We hear it in movies. We're like, oh my God, it's so terrible. So you're going to hear it when you're conscious of it. And that's what's going to separate you from those guys. I don't know what it is about salespeople, but they love the word try. I think just because it doesn't tie them to any type of outcome. I'm confident in my outcome. Okay, next. Light prep carries weight. A lot of weight. But I'm just going to put weight because I don't have any more space. Light prep carries a lot of weight. It takes 5 minutes to do a little search on someone to be able to talk to them a little bit differently when you meet with them. If I was meeting with Bedros for the first time, and I was to say something like, hey, so where are you from? I know you said you were an immigrant, but where are you from? Because I heard that in your content. Versus, hey, so I heard your family's Armenian. Yes, that's really cool. So when did your family come to this country? I heard there was a lot that when you were younger that you had to deal with, right? It's a little different. You feel a little warmer to me. This is why a lot of people like to create content, because content creates a level of familiarity and I feel closer. So let's say, how many of you guys saw Bedros on a screen before you saw him in person? And when you saw him in person, it felt like it would be easier to buy from him now. How many of you guys would say that? Because there's that warmth. And I can create that warmth almost by doing the same thing. Hey, John, so I notice you're a football guy. Oh, yeah? I stalked you a little bit. Yeah? Rutgers. Why Rutgers? Well, because of this. Really? And I found it interesting because I saw you were a California guy. So how did you connect Rutgers to that? I know it sounds, oh, that could be creeper. That could be stalker. I don't care. Let every other sales guy think that. I just want to be not like them. Light prep does carry a lot of weight. Next one. You want to build real rapport. This is where a lot of people make mistakes, and it's not your fault. It's society's fault. And I'll tell you how society ruined you. And you'll hear it now when you guys go in circles at cocktail hour later. One of you is going to do it. And if one of you does it and another one hears it, I want you to go, you did it. I want somebody to call that out, just for the sake of fun and exercise. Here's how it's going to go. What's your name, ma'am?
Which one?
The one that just said which one?
Claude.
What is it?
Claude.
Claude?
Yeah.
Okay, Claude. Here's what might happen. You're going to be in a circle talking with people. You have kids?
I do.
How many kids?
1.
And you're going to say something like, yeah, I've got a kid. And now before anything else, another person who's got a kid in the circle stops listening to you. And they begin finding a way to tie a story about their kid and then immediately say something as soon as you're done. It's almost like, wow, how did you think of it so quick? Because they started thinking about it as you were talking. And they're going to say, yeah, so my 9-year-old does the same thing. Last week, she blah, blah, blah. How many of you guys felt like you've heard this before? Yeah, I've got a business and, I've got this sales guy. He's, I feel like he's just we're selling me more than he's been selling prospects. Dude, the worst. I got a sales guy that does the same shit. How many of you guys know what I'm talking about? So what happens is we learn to build, you get good at whatever you practice. We learn to build rapport poorly. If I'm talking to, what's your name, ma'am?
Caitlin.
Caitlin? Do you have kids?
Not myself.
Let's pretend you have 3 for the exercise, okay? I couldn't see well, and I'm just like, okay, hopefully she does. So let's say Caitlin goes, I'm talking to her, and I go, hey, so Caitlin, talk to me a little bit about, you and, what do you got going on? What's Caitlin like outside of business? And Caitlin goes, so I've got 3 kids. One of them's 6, one of them's 4, one of them's 2. Now, let's say coincidentally, I've got a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old as well. Holy shit. I'm like jumping out of my pants to tell you how crazy it is that I also have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and 2-year-old. And I can't wait to say it, just like the whole line of salespeople that can't wait either. Instead, I'm going to go 6, 4, and 2. You must be busy. Yeah. What are their boys, girls? Yeah, boy and then 2 girls. What are their names? John, Cindy, and Sally. That's awesome. Which one's most like you? Oh, Sally's most like you. How so? I don't care. If I have twins, if I have triplets, and she's got triplets, I get it. I'm dying to tell her I got triplets too because I'm so infatuated myself. But in reality, triplets, man, did you see that coming? You have triplets in the family? Is your first one? Are they like each other? Who's closer to who? Are you more interested in that topic or my triplets?
That topic.
Yeah, of course. Where are you from? I'm from New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. Or, Jersey, what brought you out here? You see a difference? Every other sales guy is in a line to tell them that they're also from New Jersey. Every other sales guy is in a line waiting to talk about their kids. No one gives a shit about your kids. You ever have somebody show you a phone of their kids? How interested are you? Not that interested. But when your wife sends you, how many of you guys have like your spouse sending you pictures of your kids doing crazy shit all day? That's funny. You're hearting it. Right? So that's interesting. Your kids are interesting. So next time you're sitting down with someone, big sale, small sale, no matter what, it doesn't matter. If they talk about themselves, as much as you can't wait to talk about yourself, stop and ask them another question about the thing they just brought up. Because it means something to them. That's why I came out so soon. Fair enough? Yep. And when you're doing cocktail hour, dude, I got this sales guy, such a problem, man. Why is he a problem? He's doing this, so what do you think your next move's gonna be? Right? Just talk about what they've been thinking about. I know you're not selling them anything, just practice it. You get good at it anywhere. How many of you guys agree with this here? Yeah? How many of you guys know the average sales guy does the opposite of what I just said? Yeah, average is the enemy, right? So we're gonna keep that theme going. All right, next, how much time I have? I don't wanna be that guy.
10.
5 minutes? She said 10, I'm gonna go with 5 because he's the guy. All right, next. Only value questions. Man, the thing that sucks about influencers is if they have enough followers, their content seems legitimate. So you have people saying, just get them to say yes. Just get them to say yes. I think in that movie Boiler Room, they were like, if I threw you a life jacket, would you grab it? Yes, good, pick up some shares. No, that's stupid. It's not true. Ben Affleck does not do sales for a living, and probably neither does the guy that wrote the script. So the truth is, it's a dumb question. I can't stand it. So if we were to help you get an extra 200 leads this month that were qualified, would that be of value to you? No, it wouldn't. Nah, actually, what else you got? Of course it would. Of course it would. It's better to say, hey, listen, if we were to get you 200 leads, how would you handle it? Just so I know, because I don't want to break a system either. So how would you handle it? Well, we do this, this, this. Okay, is 200 kind of the cap, or can you handle 3? We could probably handle 3. I don't know if I'll get you 3, but we're going for it. I just want to check and gauge it, and we'll throttle back or forward anywhere you'd like. Fair enough? So no dumb questions. Questions that actually get the guy to think and you guys to collaborate. One of the things Bedros said at my event, which I now have on this list, but I'm giving the credit to Bedros, is you want to be their buying assistant. Now, Bedros said it. I've always used it. I just never gave it a name. He gave it a name, which I liked, because now I give it a name. Their buying assistant. Here's what it sounds like to me. Hey, Bryce, is it okay if we sit on the same side of the table for a second? Another thing is when you change your tone to as if like, you know that tone where you're telling like a joke that may be inappropriate, you just want to make sure no one's in the room? Like that, like, okay? So, hey Bryce, can we just talk off the record for a second? Dude, you know you're good at what you do. Yes or no? You know your product is good. Yes or no? You know more people should have it. Why are you doing everything possible to test and see if it works? I know you don't know if this thing will work or not, but it can, yes or no? If you find out that it didn't work, you learned something. If it did work, what could happen? Everything you want, right? The truth is, Bryce, I'm like you here. I don't know for sure if it's going to work, but I've got a good amount of optimism that it can. And I know my job, just like yours is, to test shit. Can we test it? You don't have to, but I say the same thing to my dad if it were here. I want to be on the same side of the table. Hey, listen, if I were to help you get this done and we hit these numbers, what'd be the next thing we'd break in order to fix? Because everything's going to continue. You know how that works. Tesla's got stuff breaking. I want to start looking at future problems with you. Fair enough? So it's just, how do we get on the same side of the table, off the record? Hey, can you just talk you and me for a second? There's nobody here. Just, can I talk real? Forget the business stuff. I don't know why you're not doing this. And I don't even know if you have a good answer as to why you're not doing it either. I just think you're in the habit of not doing stuff when you're not 100% certain. Is that fair? Yeah, I get it. I've been there. But do you think the most successful entrepreneurs do that? Or do you think they test some shit and understand not all of it's going to be a home run? So you want to be on the same side of the table. You're not there to combat with them. Don't be an actually guy. Actually, like when they say some shit, actually, we've seen clients that have, don't be the actually guy. You're on the different side of the table. Be on their side. Oh, this one's my favorite, so we're going to probably close out with this because I don't know if I have time for the other two. This one's beautiful. Entrepreneurs, 3 types. There's visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Raise your hands if you think the majority of them are visual. Let me just explain what they are. Visionaries. How many of you guys would think that entrepreneurs are mostly visual? Yeah, they're visionaries. They see things that way. You talk to an entrepreneur, they tell stories, they use analogies, yes or no? So when I tie an outcome, I never want to say things like 3 to 6 months from now, 2 years from now, 3 weeks from now. They don't know what the fuck that means. Sorry, I can curse, yes? I asked at the end. So here's how this works. Hey Bryce, listen, based on what we've been talking about here, we're about 3 months away from getting exactly where you need to go. So let's look at what that looks like. We're September 12th right now. October, November, December. We're talking like 2 weeks before Christmas. You've got this figured out. You can go confidently into the new year knowing that this is done. I don't care what it is, 8 months. So we're 8 months away. We're 8 months, Bryce. Here's what that looks like. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Bryce, before we go into summer, this is solved. I don't know how you looked last summer, but before you go into this summer, we don't have this problem anymore. You can go into June, wherever you're going to travel to, knowing this is at rest. So they need to see summer. They'll see where they're at. By the time you're sitting at the Thanksgiving table, by the time you go out to Valentine's Day dinner, spring break, when you're at the Memorial Day party, whatever it is, you'll find something around there. Cool thing about commercialism in the US is there's always a fucking holiday. So paint the picture. If you were able to sit down at that Thanksgiving table knowing that the biggest thing you could have thanks for is that this problem's at rest, would you find peace in that? Then let's make that the best Thanksgiving ever for you. Fair? I want you to see yourself at Thanksgiving with that problem solved. I don't want to say 3 to 6 months. They don't even know what that looks like. All right. I'm going to have to close out because I'm respecting Bedros' time. Do you guys have value in anything that we spoke about today? Feel free to come up to me and ask me any questions. I'm going to be here for probably another hour or two. I like talking about this stuff. It's fun for me, so it's not work. I find energy in it. So, and if you don't want to talk to me, you don't have to. But if you want to, I'm here for you guys. I'm here for Bedros. I think he's a hell of a guy, and you guys are around the right dude. So thank you guys.